Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to bridge that gap between just tinkering with code and writing real professional modern JavaScript. We're going to cover everything from why your code sometimes runs out of order all the way to the big name frameworks. Let's get right into it. So, you've probably been there, right? You write some code to fetch data, and then on the very next line, you try to use that data, and it's just not there. It's empty. Why? Well, you've just run headfirst into the single biggest concept in JavaScript, asynchronicity. And honestly, getting a handle on this is the key to unlocking what the language can really do.
Here's the easiest way to think about it. Imagine you ask a friend to go get you some groceries. You wouldn't just stand at your front door staring into space waiting for them to get back, would you? Of course not. You'd give them the list, and then you'd go do other things. They'll just text you when they're back. That is async, right there. Your code kicks off a task and moves on. It doesn't just wait.
Okay, so if our code doesn't just sit there and wait, how in the world do we handle these delayed tasks? Especially when one thing has to happen after another thing is finished. Well, this right here is the central problem that has really shaped how JavaScript has grown up over the years. The first solution way back when was something called a callback. It's basically a function you pass into another function, telling it, hey, when you're done, run this for me. But just imagine, you need to get a user, then use their ID to get their posts, and then use those posts to get comments. You'd end up with this awful, nested mess of functions. We call it the pyramid of doom. And let me tell you, it's a total nightmare to read, let alone fix when something breaks. But thankfully, JavaScript didn't stay stuck with that mess. The language grew up, and now we have much cleaner ways to solve this exact problem. Let's actually walk through this evolution. It's a really cool story of how a programming language can adapt and get way better. So, the first huge leap forward was the idea of promises. Instead of nesting our code deeper and deeper, promises let us chain our steps together in a nice, clean line. I mean, the difference you see on this slide really says it all. It's the difference between total chaos and beautiful order. Let's just take a second to really look at this callback code. See how the important part, the logic, is just buried deep inside all that nesting. It's so hard to follow what's actually happening. This is exactly the kind of tangled mess we want to escape from. And now, look at how promises totally change the game. It's like a breath of fresh air. Our steps are perfectly clear. We call our function, then we handle the result. And if anything goes wrong along the way, we just catch the error at the end. It's flat, it's logical, and it's so much easier to read. And finally, this brings us to today's gold standard, async/await. It's fantastic. You just add the async keyword before your function, and then you can use await inside it to tell your code, hey, just pause right here until this promise is done. The result? Code that reads just like a simple, step-by-step recipe. It's the cleanest, most readable way we have to handle async code. But wait, what if you need to do a bunch of things at once? Like, you need to fetch a user's profile and their latest pictures at the same time. You wouldn't want to wait for one to finish to start the other. That's what Promised All is for. It lets you fire off multiple requests in parallel. The only catch is, if just one of them fails, the whole thing fails. For situations where you want everything to finish no matter what, there's a better tool, Promised All Settled. It'll just give you a report at the end telling you which ones worked and which ones didn't. Super useful. All right. Now that we've tamed the async beast, let's do a quick lightning round of the other modern syntax tools that make JavaScript so much fun to write. This is your essential toolkit for writing clean, pro-level code. First up, variables. Forget about var. These days, it's all about let and const. And the rule of thumb is super simple. Just use const for everything by default. This stops you from accidentally changing a variable's value, which makes your code way more predictable. Only switch to let if you know for sure you're going to need to reassign it later. Next, arrow functions. They're just a much shorter, cleaner way to write functions. They are absolutely perfect for those little one-liner functions you use inside of array methods like .map or .filter. You can get so much done in one clean, readable line. Oh, you're gonna love this if you haven't used it. Remember building strings with a million plus signs to jam variables in? So clunky. Well, those days are over. Template literals use backticks instead of quotes, and they let you pop variables right into the string. It is so much cleaner and easier to read. Destructuring is a total game changer. It feels like a magic trick. Instead of pulling values out of an object or an array one by one, you can just grab all the ones you need in a single, super expressive line of code. It lets you write less code, and it makes what you're trying to do crystal clear.
Okay, so we've got our async patterns down, we've got our modern syntax toolkit. Now let's put it all together and do one of the most common things a web developer does every single day, grabbing data from an API. That term, API, can sound a little intimidating, but the idea is actually really simple. Think of it like this. Your app is a customer at a restaurant. It makes a request to the kitchen, that's the API server. You tell it what you want, and a few moments later, it brings you your food back, usually in a nice, organized format called JSON. In any modern browser, we have a built-in tool called Fetch to make these API calls, and it's basically a three-step dance. First, you fetch the URL. Second, and this is super important, you have to check if the response was actually okay, because Fetch doesn't automatically fail for errors like page not found. And third, you parse the response as JSON, so you can actually use the data. Now, you're mostly going to run into two types of requests, GET and POST. It's pretty straightforward. A GET request is for getting data, like fetching a user's profile. A POST request is for posting data, like submitting a new comment. The main difference is that a POST request sends its data in what's called a body, while a GET request doesn't. And congratulations! If you've followed all of that, you now have a solid grip on the core concepts of modern JavaScript. And this foundation, this is your ticket to understanding and really using the powerful frameworks that run pretty much the entire modern web. When it comes to frameworks, there are three giants: React, Vue, and Angular. React is the most popular by far, with a massive community, and it's fantastic for building complex interfaces. Vue is famous for being really friendly and easy to learn, which makes it great for smaller projects. And then there's Angular, which is this huge, all-in-one solution that's often used for giant enterprise-level apps. The best part, the vanilla JS skills we just covered are the key to unlocking any of them.
So there we have it. We went from that confusing, out-of-order code to async solutions to the powerful syntax and frameworks that professional developers are using every day. You've got the building blocks, so the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?
Honestly, the absolute best way to make all of this stuff stick is to just start building something. Anything. Make a simple to-do app that actually saves your list, or build a cool search bar that gives you suggestions while you type, or hook into a free weather API and make your own little weather dashboard. The possibilities are totally endless. You've got the concepts now, so go out there